Missed details in the Hunger Games that make more sense seeing today. The Hunger Games, the first movie, based on the Suzanne Collins book series, was a huge hit all over the world in 2012. There was a lot of drama, action, and romance in the young adult dystopian book, set in a world after the end of the world where children are forced to play a game of survival. But some things weren't quite right. Katniss's sacrifice. Katniss Everdeen offers to be a tribute so that her sister Primrose doesn't have to fight in the games. This was one of the most memorable parts of the first Hunger Games movie. Katniss made a brave choice, but we can't help but wonder why everyone who saw it was so shocked. Are we supposed to think that something like this has never happened before? The fact that this was the first time an older child stepped up to help a younger sibling is hard to believe. District 12's specialty. District 12, where Katniss and her family live, was a big part of both the books and the movies about the Hunger Games, and many diehard fans have thought about what makes it unique. Each of the 12 districts is known for producing a certain good for the wealthy. District 12, which is the poorest, is in charge of coal mining. It seems pretty unlikely that the capital would still be getting its power from coal, since it looks like they have a lot of progress in technology. Katniss's hiding spot. Even though Katniss is hiding on top of a tree to avoid being attacked by a group of angry contestants, the others try to climb the tree but fail and shoot a few arrows at her before choosing to wait it out, as Peta suggested. After that, they just set up camp under the tree and built a fire. Why didn't they just set fire to Katniss's tree instead of sitting there for half a day? That would have been a much better thing to do. Peta's reactionless confession. People in the crowd laughed over and over again at Peta's clever chat with Caesar, even though it wasn't that funny. Ask yourself, do I smell like roses? That's it? What's so funny about that to them? The crowd doesn't seem to care at all when he says that Katniss is the girl he's had a crush on since he was a kid. They don't say anything, which is strange because they were talking a lot about what he said before. Everything about the Alliance. In games, the thought of making a partnership is really hard to understand. What made this union happen in the first place? Did they plan it in some way before they got into the arena? Or did it finally come together during the battle? And if it did, that conversation had to have been awkward and tense. When the goal of the game is for only one person to stay alive, how could you trust anyone anyway? Peta's master camouflage skills. In the first movie, Katniss is amazed by how well her fellow tribute, Peta Malark, can blend in when she sees him pretending to be a rock in some grass. Peta's skills were supposed to come from working as a cake designer for many years at his dad's bakery, but this level of makeup artistry is almost too good to be true. What if he did have the skills to pull off such a convincing disguise? Where did he get all the tools and gear that he needed? Not sure if mud and crushed plants would have been enough to make this happen. Katniss using all the healing balm. Even though Mitchs gives Katniss some healing cream after the Tracker Jacker attack, she uses it all on herself and feels better. Some of the medicine she had left over might have helped her save Rue when she was shot, though. This only means that if someone gives you a special balm that can fix you during a fight, you might want to keep some of it for yourselves. The lack of preparation. At the beginning of the Hunger Games, things go wrong. Contestants make a mad dash for the supplies, but they're attacked on the way. Katniss and Peta were lucky that Mitchs, their guide, told them to go to the woods instead. No one else's teachers told them how to start the game, did they? Have they never seen or heard of the games before, even if this is true? They must have been crazy to think that they could just walk up on the guns and grab a backpack without getting hurt. The wolfmuts. Mutant dogs, also known as wolfmuts, were added to the games near the end of both the book and the movie series. These scary monsters were made in the control room and then dropped into the field wherever the game designers wanted. Even though these changed wolves were scary, did it make sense to include them in the games? It would have been easy for these mean dogs to attack every tribute, eliminating any chance of a winner. This is likely something that President Snow and the rest of the Capitol wouldn't agree with. Katniss and Peta's flame suits. As soon as Katniss and Peta walk into the training center wearing suits that catch fire, everyone goes crazy. They truly go crazy because it's the coolest thing they've ever seen. Mitchs even says it was what made them stand out and got them their sponsors' love. As cool as it is, it's hard to believe that they'd be so amazed by a few flames in a world full of crazy technology. That giant beehive. Katniss is stuck in the tree and can only sit there. Rue shows her a huge swarm a few feet away that is full of genetically modified wasps. In addition to that, it's sitting right on top of where her enemies have set up camp for the night. That huge hive of beside the fact that it seems too good to be true, how did Katniss miss the huge beehive all this time? How did the other contestants not see it when they were trying to knock her out? District 13's bunker. 150 years after their first attempt, District 13 tries to take down the Capitol again. President Snow is shocked. There's an agreement between the district and the Capitol that they would leave, but you would think that Snow would still be keeping a close eye on them since they were in charge of making nuclear bombs. Snow had a lot of high-tech gadgets and cameras, but they were still able to build a secret base and stock up on supplies for the next uprising without him knowing. Gail isn't always nice. Looking back, Gail isn't always nice, even though he's portrayed as a passionate and brave Prince Charming who's meant to be with Katniss. Such as, in the second movie, when Katniss suggests that they leave, which would have been a good idea, he talks her out of it because he cares about the movement too. Then in the third movie, Gail doesn't pity Peta at all, even though he went through a lot, like being brainwashed and everything. Mitch's personality shift. When we first meet Mitch, he doesn't seem to care about helping Katniss or Peta learn how to survive the games, so he isn't very useful to either of them. The very next morning, he overnight changes into a grumpy but loving teacher who's full of useful tips. It's like the writers decided that after that powerful first scene, his character needed to be toned down a bit. The change happens overnight. That or Mitch might have just wanted a good night's sleep and a big breakfast. Peta getting brainwashed. It seemed like a good idea at first to de-stress Peta and send him to kill Katniss, but looking back, I think it wasn't the best plan in the world. The first thing is that Peta almost kills Katniss in the underground bunker, which wouldn't have been the public show that the Capitol needed to believe he had his power back. Another thing is that the brainwashing can be undone, which is probably something Snow and his followers didn't think about. Only Panem? We know that the Hunger Games takes place in North America after the end of the world, but we don't know where or when Panem takes place. The book says that the Capitol takes place in an area that used to be called the Rocky Mountains. That's pretty much all we learn about the setting. Are there no other cultures in the world? It's also hard to think that they would agree with how the Capitol was treating their people if they did. That poisonous fog. We meet a new scary trap in Catching Fire: toxic fog. This is something the game designers made just for the followers. It took a while, but Katniss finally woke up, just in time to wake up the others. Katniss does nothing but sit there and stare at the strange fog for a few minutes, touching it once or twice. You'd think that someone who knows so much about the game's traps would be able to spot a dangerous fog. Katniss and Gail's defense. In The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1, Katniss and some other fighters are sent to a hospital in District 8 to help Katniss look more like a leader. Things were going well and the patients were amazed by the Mockingjay. Sadly, Snow finds out and tells everyone to attack the hospital. Katniss and Gail see two attack planes as the group is leaving. The planes don't have very good aim, which works out well because Katniss hits one of them with her powerful arrow, while the other one crashes into the other one.